All right, y'all. So we're about to get into the tea because it is hot. But before we do that, we got to talk about this group trip to Vietnam, March 14th through the 20th of 2026. I want you to be there. If you have seen our trips to Bali, to Thailand, to Zanzibar, and our upcoming one to Cape Town, you don't want to miss this one to Vietnam. People ask me, why did I choose Vietnam? I mean, look at it. We got good pricing in terms of the currency conversion, so the dollar takes you further. We got beautiful landscapes, and we got great Vietnamese food and shopping. Plus, 3 cities, so we're going to be running around this country looking all types of crazy and all types of lit. And we got a 2 day luxury cruise, y'all. A 2 day luxury cruise. So I need you to go ahead and make your reservation today. Go ahead and make your deposit today. You can put it on a payment plan. Click the link in the description. Now we can really get into this tea.
Y'all, we got a lot to talk about. So I'm going to touch on Braxton Family Values and Bell Collective. Don't worry, in case you guys are watching either one of those shows. Actually, let me know in the chat if you are watching Bell Collective and if you are watching The Braxtons, both of which air on Friday nights. And I'm not on camera today because I am traveling. So listen, happy Saturday, y'all. I will still put y'all comments down in the chat just so that, you can see for those of you guys who are tuning in live. All right. And for those of you guys who are watching later, you will be able to also see the chat as well. Okay. So let's get into a bit of the tea first, right? Okay. So Candice, Candice has a new podcast called Undomesticated with Michael Arsenault. So, it's kind of a take on the idea of a domesticated housewife, right? And so it's called Undomesticated, which I like because they're both thinkers, right? So we had all heard initially, and I don't know if you guys remember this, we had all initially heard that Candice and Portia apparently had some type of explosive thing happen during the filming for The Traitors. So when it came out that Candice had unfollowed Portia, we all thought that, okay, something must have happened. Now, Candice has gone on record as saying that there is someone from the Traitors cast that she is going to curse out. Somebody. We don't know who. She does not say who. And I don't believe she's probably at liberty to say who, because that would be giving away some tea about the upcoming season that is a little bit more specific than just saying, I will curse them out. Right. And so again, all signs pointed to Portia because she had unfollowed her. But on her podcast, she doesn't necessarily say that from my understanding, that there wasn't necessarily beef between her and Portia because of Traitors, but she unfollowed Portia because of something Portia did on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay. So there's a big distinction there. Now, we don't know if anything happened between them on the Traitors. We just know that something happened between Candice and someone, right? But we don't know who that is yet. So let's get into the real reason she unfollowed Portia. She says that she unfollowed Portia, and shout out to our friends over at the Bravo Shade Room for capturing this, because to me, I was kind of wondering what the actual issue was. And so I'm kind of glad we get to see it or hear about it before Traitors actually starts, which I hear is absolutely bananas, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. So she says that she felt a certain type of way about Portia saying that she would or she could, and I'm paraphrasing here, sleep with Charles Oakley, kind of like as a bit of like a get back or getting her lick back with something that Angela did during the Real Housewives of Atlanta. You guys recall that this was during their trip to um was it Nashville that they went to mid-season, and they were all hanging out at the pool and Angela was overhearing them, talk at the pool, and Portia was obviously saying something that may or may not have been meant for cameras, because cameras were allegedly down at the time. And so Portia caught a lot of heat about that comment, for which she did at the reunion state that it was in poor taste, right? And, for Candiace, she just felt like, as she states here, who as a woman would fix their mouth to say that as a form of retaliation, like, oh, I should go and sleep with your husband, right? So Candiace didn't take too well to that. Now, if you guys recall, Candiace and Portia have had a bit of a topsy-turvy relationship. We knew this from when Portia was on the Bravo chat room and she pretty much took Monique's side. And it was also very interesting to watch as Giselle and Portia sort of debated what was going on between Candiace and Monique at the time, right? And so that actually extended into the Ultimate Girls Trip, but it was then that Candiace had more beef with Giselle than with Portia. And I felt like Portia kind of got caught up by association with that, because Portia's also good friends with Giselle. And we know that Candiace and Giselle are still not on good terms. Okay. I mean, and I think that Giselle kind of hinted at that about asking about who should come back to Potomac when she was on Watch What Happens Live. I felt like she was kind of throwing a little bit of like, there's one person that she just would not want back. And I felt like that was Candiace. But that's just me. That is just me. Now, a lot of people thought that what Portia said, Angela, was a joke, but I just don't know that it was taken with that. I don't know that it was taken that way by Angela because of Portia's own interesting relationship history, right? Particularly in light of the way that people feel like Portia and Simon got together. The rumors had alleged, and let me put the alleged badge up here. The rumors had alleged that, there might have been some communication or something between Portia and Simon before he actually got divorced. That those were allegations. Okay. So when Portia stated that, it did not sit too well with Angela. And at the time, people were wondering why Shamia was yakking it up at that comment, given that she too is married. So there is that. All right. There is that. Darnell says in the comments, there's a lot of reality in jokes. And there you go. All right. Um, Now check that. As Phaedra would say, y'all know I had to go back to my Phaedra gift because it's just one of my favorites, and I just can't ever help myself. All right, y'all. So listen, let's move on. I do want to talk about, did y'all see that Bravo had released the taglines for the Real Housewives of Potomac? We're going to get into that, but first, I wanted to share this. And I don't know if you guys happen to catch Carlos King's podcast with Ebony K. Williams. Now, Ebony K. Williams, for those of you guys who don't know, has had a successful career as a commentator, as an attorney. She was on the Real Housewives of New York City for a brief period. She has a very successful podcast. We've had her on our channel as well. And so her and Carlos do a lot of reality TV legal related deep dives. So when it was time to discuss this whole situation with Eddie and Wendy, Ebony gives her take on what she happened to see, especially with regards to that press conference. Now, for those of you guys who may be a little bit new, right, or have been hiding under a rock, or maybe you have been traveling out of the country, I don't know, right? Wendy and Eddie have been charged with several felonies, and there are just I think in total for Eddie, there are 18 charges. And I think for Wendy, there are a total of 16 charges. We've been discussing this all the past week, right? Everybody knows about it. It has been everywhere. And so we remember that there was a police press conference. And I think I told y'all that was very interesting. That was a very interesting move because you typically don't see police press conferences that way for people who are committing insurance fraud. Not to minimize it, or let me say, people who are alleged to have committed insurance fraud and faking a burglary, allegedly, right? So Ebony talks about how, based on what she saw, based on the facts of the case, based on the evidence against them, based on the inclusion of a press conference and the language therein, and potential bias and motives, she believes that there will be jail time if they are indeed convicted. So I want to play a little bit of what she had to say.
They'll serve an active jail sentence. I don't think there is any question about it. And I think that that was determined at the onset of the case because of all the facts that have been laid out. This sheriff's office, this state prosecutor have already told us, Carlos King, that they are making examples out of these wealthy, famous Black people. They are. Know that from the press conference alone. Know that. Clock T. When that state attorney came out and one of the first things he said out of his mouth was, don't think of insurance fraud as a victimless crime. He didn't have to say that. Did you clock T on that? Because I did. Yeah, that was making sure the first foundational premise of his remarks was that this impacts you and me. This impacts every American that holds an insurance policy in any capacity. And all, if they are convicted, they will serve an active jail sentence. I don't think there is any question about it.
So there you have it, y'all. I mean, and again, this is her educated opinion, right? Her educated observation, right? From experience in the legal world and just sort of listening to the verbiage that was being used the day of the press conference. It was also very clear to me that I felt like, oh, yeah, they are, this is going to be something very, very serious. And again, for me, it was just based on also to the amount of charges. 16 to 18, you can probably, I would assume that quite a few of those, they're gonna ensure that those some of those charges stick. And I don't know, again, there was the email of with Eddie asking about, hey, is there anything else that we can add to this? There's the fact that, they have the receipts of the items being purchased and then returned allegedly before the burglary. There is, the wearing of the jewelry that was reported stolen after the fact. There's so much evidence that it'll be interesting to see how and what type of defense Wendy and Eddie will mount in this instance. And will the defense be that they themselves are being targeted and singled out in this instance? So we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and really, really see, right? We'll have to see. I don't know. I don't know. But like I said, the taglines are indeed out and the people are indeed talking about them. So let's get into said taglines, if you will, right? And I want guys to tell me who is your favorite, right? And who is your least favorite? And whose is most appropriate, okay? Now, what I want you to notice is a lot of times these days when Bravo posts the Real Housewives of Potomac, and when they post, they usually end up using Stacy as the face of the post. I don't know if you guys have been noticing that, but I have. And of course, I could totally be reading into that, right? But you just kind of look for patterns in terms of how promo is used. Now, of course, Giselle is going to be the first person out for promotion because she's still technically the lead on this show, with Ashley being kind of like that secondary lead. But it's funny to me that they put Stacey out because Stacey has literally been the talk of the first two episodes. So let's get into what the taglines are. So Stacey's reads as such: some people believe the lies, but still I rise. You know, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it because they took something that I felt like she said at the last reunion. And I feel like the whole idea that the ladies think that she's a liar, I feel like they meshed this very well together. And it's always a bonus when it rhymes. So I'm not mad at this one. I'm not too mad at it. I'm reading y'all comments though. Y'all crazy. Nia says, not Maya Angelou, Stacy. Okay, let's get into the next one. Beauty is my business, but getting you together is my specialty. Now that is Kiana's. Okay, I'm not mad at this because I feel like it does go into the whole idea of her beauty business. Her brand is beauty. You know, I do feel like that's okay. Okay, I get it. I get it. That's on the nose. Getting you together is my specialty. I'm gonna have to let the jury still out on that one because I haven't yet seen her get someone all the way together as of yet. And to be quite honest with you, the fact that she kind of backtracked a little bit on the chin check, and I think she's gonna backtrack again in this upcoming episode on the chin check. I don't know. Are you really getting anybody together per se? Because there are a lot of comments that feel like Kay is annoying. I do really feel like Kay is upset at Wendy, but I think we'll get a little bit further into how their relationship actually is in this upcoming episode based on the previews that I've seen. All right. So we'll see. We shall see. Jury's out. Ashley's, this cherry blossom is ready for her second bloom. I don't like it. It feels very cliche in terms of like the first line of the tagline. This cherry blossom is ready. So I don't know. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. It's not bad. It's appropriate because she did say something about this whole second bloom that was her party or whatever like that. But I don't think people really understood the idea of a second bloom. I think we get it, but it's not a common thing to be like, yeah, I'm in my second bloom. Who's singing that? I mean, that's the first time I've ever heard it. So I don't know. But that's just me. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. All right. She looks great here though, but don't like the tagline. Okay, let's get to Dr. Wendy's. I put the high in higher education. Man, can you think about how this would have landed if she wasn't facing all these charges? I mean, the focus would have definitely been on her husband's cannabis line, you know, the can I bust, right? Of it all. But now I feel like the moment people hear this, they're just gonna think about her mugshot in which she is like smiling ever so diabolically. And Eddie looks as though he is slightly high in that mugshot. That's what I think that people are gonna think. I might have would have changed this to something else. I don't even know what you would say at this point, but I mean, if they're innocent, this tagline will definitely work. It will definitely work. I think that right now it just ooh. Ooh. I don't know. I don't know about it. Um it's either right on the nose or too far gone. Y'all let me know. Okay, next. Giselle. When the nest is empty, it's time for naked, grown, and sexy. Um, maybe this will make more sense when we get into the season a bit more. Um, but right now, and hers is first, mind you. But right now, it doesn't really say it doesn't move me to chorus, as they say. Um, I don't think I mean, have we seen her running around unclothed? Have we seen her dropping it like it's hot? Have we seen her doing splits, you know, in the back room? I I don't feel like I mean, so unless there is someone she is sneaking in, unless there's some male suitor who is scaling the walls after midnight that the cameras happen to catch one night, I just don't know how this is supposed to be appropriate for her at this point. Maybe listen, I'm quite sure she does get it in with whomever she chooses. She's a beautiful woman, but I just feel like unless the cameras are going to be showing it, because we never really truly see, I don't think, any of her relationships outside of that guy that she was dating maybe back in season 2 or 3 maybe. And I felt like after what happened with him and that other lady, I felt like she was just like, "You know what? Y'all not getting my real life romance no more." That's what I feel personally. I'm happy to be here and show my face, show my pretty face, show my daughters and my family, but y'all not getting me and my mans. That's what I feel like. Okay. So I don't know how I mean, again, the jury is still out until I see maybe the rest of the season. So I'm just gonna withhold my thoughts on it for now. Although I did give you pretty much my thoughts. Okay, Tia. You can only clutch pearls if you have them. And darling, I have loads. Now, I wish that she had been wearing some type of pearl in this photo right here. But I'm not mad at this. It does hint at, a little bit of British, like, bougie. You know what I'm saying? Like, clutching my pearls. Oh my God. I don't. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. Let me think on it. I need to sit on that one. I need to have a spot of tea on that one. But I like it. There's something I like about it. Something I like about it. I feel like it actually fits her a little bit more because she does have the British accent. So I feel like that gives her the edge on this one. But we do like the bougie of it, right? We do like the bouge. And that's what I feel like I want these shows to kind of get back to, a bit of that bouginess. And I feel like they're kind of doing that in this season. So I do kind of, y'all know what's funny too? I feel like they should have had Jazzy as a housewife, especially with this particular cast. And we're going to see her in this upcoming episode, but Jazzy lives the life. So I'm not sure why they don't cast her, but that's just me. That's just me. Okay, next. Angel. Hell hath no fury like an angel scorned. Okay, so let's talk about this one. This one will make sense if she comes guns blazing at some point in the next couple of like episodes or at some point throughout the season. If you're going to have a tagline like this, I need to see why you said this. I need to understand that your rage and your fury will set everything on fire. That's what I need to see. I need to see you chin checking somebody. I mean, not literally, right? Figuratively, metaphorically. I need to see you lighting someone up. That's what I need to see. If I can see you lighting somebody up, then okay, cool. Then it'll make more sense to me. But like for right now, she seems so chill, I can't really see it. But I like her. I really, really like her a lot. And she has the family, she has the business. You know, I just think that she's gonna be a good addition. Um, depending on what we get from her. But we'll see. We'll see. We shall see. So those are the taglines. Now we do have Jazzy as a friend of the show, and we have Monique as a friend of the show as well. So my favorites, I'm gonna have to tell y'all, she's in my top 3, Stacy. Some people believe the lies, but still I rise. She gets it because there's a bit of absurdity to it. You know what I'm saying? There's a bit of absurdity to it. Okay. She also gets it because it makes me chuckle so bad. Y'all, I think whenever I hear it, I'm not going to help but think back to the mugshot. If you're going to take a mugshot, at least I think smile your way through it. I didn't even know you could smile in mugshots, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe a little smirk or something like that, but she was full on like Olin Mills, like, you know, senior class photo, like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all remember people used to take the glamour shots? She is full on like glamour shots in black and white, in black and white, in black and white. Okay. Period. So she's in my top 3. Yes, I said Olin Mills. Okay. she gets it. Okay. And then Tia is going to be my next one. You can only clutch pearls if you have them, and darling, I have loads. It kind of reminds me of like Lisa Vanderpump in a little bit of a little sense, right? So I'm gonna give it to Tia. So Tia, Wendy, and Stacy, but these taglines are not necessarily my favorites because they're just that good. Some of them are just so wildly funny that I can't help but put them in my top 3. And so there you have it. There you have it. Those are my top 3. You guys let me know your top 3. I want to I want to see, tell me who y'all top 3 is, because I see y'all commenting about my choices, but I want to know what your choices are. All right, let us know in the chat. Okay, so can we talk real quick? What y'all want to talk about first? Y'all want to talk about Braxton's, or y'all want to talk about Bell Collective? Actually, let's just go ahead and talk about Braxton's real quick. All right. So we're on episode 2 of the Braxtons, and you know, I was wondering what this whole situation with Ashley, isn't her name is Ashley, right? Lord, I forgot the girl name. We even talked about Ashley Darby, Angel Massey, all these A's. We finally get the episode where she's on the podcast with Tamar, and it was not what I expected, but it made the most sense, but it didn't make the most sense, right? So here's, for those of you guys who don't understand what's happened here, is there were some allegations of some inappropriate behavior that Ashley had made on social media. for all intents and purposes, we had thought or suspected that those allegations of inappropriateness were about Gabe, Trina, Trina's ex-husband. Um, Trina is now married to Vaughn, right? Who we also find out in this episode has congestive heart failure. Let me tell y'all something. Life is lifing in this episode, and it was actually pretty riveting to watch because of the way life was happening. But I also got to tell you something about this episode right from the start. This episode really did expose, I think, a different side of Tawanda. And I would say many sides of Tawanda, to be quite honest with you. And it goes to show you that people are not just one way. People, you have to get a 360-degree view of a person in order to truly understand them. And what you see on a reality TV show is just really the tip of the iceberg. Okay? Really the tip of the iceberg. And there's so much to unpack about this episode. But what I will say is this: it left me with an interesting thought about Tawanda. Um, and it left me with some interesting thoughts about Tamar, some interesting thoughts about Tony, but the same thoughts about Trina. So in this episode, the first thing that we see is Tamar finishing her podcast with Ashley. Now, Ashley, who had made these, she detailed her experience on social media, and on this particular episode, they didn't really get into on the podcast, at least from what we saw, what she said. We get more into how she has been healing as a result. All right. And I didn't mind it really. This is a tough one. It's really tough for me because I'm still waiting for a follow up to what's going on with Tracy's son, because they did have him featured in such a huge way from last season that it's very interesting that we see nothing of him in this season. So it made you feel like, well, where is he? What's the follow up? Like, there was so much concern about him last season. Why is he not featured at all in any way, shape, or form? For at least for me, in the way that he was in the previous season. So as I look at this whole situation with Ashley, I don't want it to be that. If you're going to give her the platform to talk, then is it just for the show appearance, or are we going to really follow her healing journey? And as for as much as Tamar talks about how she identifies with her, and I believe that on some level she does, it felt more like Ashley was a plot point than anything else, which I which i- if she's okay with that, then I'm okay with it, obviously. But what does that do for her and the audience as we try to connect with her experience of healing? Is it more to tell us that Tamar is healing too, or is it for the plot point of her being a catalyst of the discord that we're going to see between Tamar and her sisters later on? So that's the problem. It's not a problem. It's just I'm just trying to follow the breadcrumbs as a viewer and as somebody that that wants to see where the storylines go. If you're going to drop the storyline into the season, then let us follow it through. So and maybe we'll see more of Ashley in the upcoming episodes. So I can't really say for sure, but I'm just going to give you my thought on it because it is such a serious situation. It is such a traumatic situation for her to sort of introduce it to us as the audience. when there has been some time gap between when she came out and made those statements and expressed what she had gone through, I just feel like if we're gonna follow the story, let's follow the story. That's my first thought. Um, and maybe that's all it was meant to be. I mean, I really don't know because you never know what ends up on the cutting room floor. You never know how things are going to be edited. But given that, Tamar is also a producer on this, I would want to see more of her connection with Ashley in this story and how they both maybe heal together. But if we don't see that, then it kind of just feels like, okay, she was here for the drop in and that's it. And I'm just telling you how I would, in my mind, connect this story. Um, the next thing that we see from Tamar, which also kind of baffled me, is that she's doing a photo shoot, I guess for her tour, and she's really upset in this photo shoot because she has been not clued in on the direction of the photo shoot. This is weird to me because if you are the architect of your show and what is happening in your show, and there's a 007 theme, and you don't know what the theme, what you don't know why you're in the gown that you're in, you don't know what the setting is going to be. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't really. I mean, because the reason why I say that is because, listen, when I do all my photo shoots, y'all, when I was doing stuff like, to um kind of honor love young, famous, and African, or when I do photo shoots in general, which try to do several of them throughout the year, just from my own promotion of things that I've got going on or working with brands or whatever that may be, I know what is going on. Now, the photographer might have some extra ideas and I might be like, "Oh, okay, no, I don't like that. No, we'll do this instead." Or how about this? But there is not a time when I don't know what I'm doing when I walk into a room and I'm about to take some photos. So she is giving it to this photographer because she's like, "I don't want to hold a martini because my fans don't drink martinis." Now, she knows her fans better than I do, so I can't really say for certain that they would not. But as a Tamar fan myself, I do enjoy a martini. And I would wager to say anybody that's running around out there singing Love and War would most definitely like a lemon drop martini, but I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. I don't know about y'all, but give me a martini over a Corona or whatever she was holding any day. But maybe that's just my personal preference because her big argument at that point was, I don't know why I'm sitting at the bar. Well, if it's a 007 theme, like he drinks martinis, shaken, not stirred, like, okay, nobody clues you in. The assistant has not told her apparently anything except for maybe 24 hours beforehand or something like that. She's blaming him. Well, she's not really blaming, she doesn't want to blame the photographers, but she's kind of blaming her team, which I have interviewed Phil Thornton. That is a businessman, and he doesn't operate in confusion in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know if that was put on for us for just to have something to, kind of shake things up, because sometimes in reality TV, there's the moment of oh, well, we need to have a little bit of drama here, right? And so if that was it, okay, cool, I got it. But to be quite frank with you, I just felt like I would have rather just seen a regular photo shoot and talking about her promoting her tour and seeing her work talking to the artists and stuff like that. That to me would have been more exciting because if her goal is to paint herself as not to be a diva, this scene did not do her any justice. She just seemed like more of a diva than anything else because why don't you know what's going on if what? That didn't make sense to me. It just didn't. And the reason I say this is because I know because I do it all the time. I do it all the time. Period. And to be also frank, it's like if you don't like what the direction that something is going, just say no. I would prefer to hold something else. Can we do something else instead of this martini? It really is as simple as that. It really is. I just want y'all to know that. I mean, it, just as somebody who does these things and works with people who do them, just simply say no. That's not what I want to do. Give me something else instead. I feel like my audience would like this better. But whatever. All right. Okay, so let's get to Tawanda. So much happens with Tawanda in this episode, but I'm going to give you the gist. She is having her little, her bridal thing, in Tulum, and the first thing that happens to her is the girl gets hit by a car crossing the street at the airport, dropping Sean off to get to go to the airport or something like that. She gets hit by a car. She gets sent to the hospital. It knocks her tooth out, her veneer out, or something like that. So we see her in the hospital. Tony awkwardly calls her several times during this episode. Tony to me seems awkwardly distant for some reason. Like, and I'm just being 100% with y'all. Y'all know I love me some Tony Braxton. I love me some Tamar Braxton. But I got to be real with what I see, right? As a viewer. And I just feel like Tony just seems like very aloof to me. And I don't necessarily know why. Maybe it's because she's so busy. um, and she's like, "Yo, lucky I'm able to call because I got things to do." But that's the energy it gave. So she ends up going to Tulum. All her close friends go. Trina is there, of course, but Tamar's not there and Tony's not there. Tony, of course, is trying to squeeze things in for Tawanda, for which Tawanda feels like, I've been there for all of y'all and nobody is here for me. And she tells her friend group that, like, I feel kind of sad because, my sisters aren't here. Now, she makes it seem like Tamar just decided not to come, which is true. Tamar did decide not to come. But in her confessional, Tamar tells us she was not wanted there. And it was the producer who told her. And then we get a flashback of Tawanda telling the producer that she was like, because she basically indicating that Tamar would bring some type of Tamar energy, which would likely be true, right? Because she is Tamar. But it kind of makes you question, like, well, girl, why are you upset about Tamar not being there? Just say you wish Tony was there. Don't say you wish Tamar was there. Just say you wish Tony was there, and that was it. Period. Point blank. Because otherwise, it makes Tawanda look like, girl, what are you doing? Like, you're not being real here. And so it kind of makes you rethink some of the interactions that have happened between Tamar and Tawanda, especially last season and now in this season. And I feel like that may be one of the reasons why Tamar is playing a more active role in this season, because she probably, I don't know, maybe wants to make sure that there is a more accurate portrayal of the interactions between she and Tawanda. That's why she called out that producer. She said, "You are the one who told me she didn't want me there." So now I was like, oh, okay. So here's the thing. I think Tawanda has a valid feeling about Tamar and the energy that Tamar brings, because Tamar is just Tamar. But I do think that Tawanda should be real about it in the scenes and just tell us, I don't want her here because I don't want that energy. And then it goes into, my question is this: if y'all don't really like each other, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? At the end of the day, we know this. This is what I feel like. And y'all can tell me if y'all think I'm wrong. I think Trina and Tawanda are close. I think Tamar is on the outs because Tamar's personality does not mesh with the rest of the group. I feel like Tony keeps everybody at a distance. That's what I feel. And I feel like they do the show, obviously, because they can get paid. I mean, I do want them to be paid, so get your coins, right? I want them all to be well paid and, live happy lives, all that good stuff. I do. But I just kind of feel like, let's be real, y'all don't really like each other like that. That's what it feels like to me. That's exactly what it feels like. And I mean, until you show me something different, that's what I feel. Period. And this past episode made that very clear to me. Okay. We've been watching enough reality TV show over the years to know when we see people that don't like each other and people that are tolerating each other. And that's exactly what's happening here. Which then takes me back to, was Ashley thrown into this mix, right? To, yes, I think that there's the benefit of helping her heal. I think there's a benefit of putting her on a national platform. I think there's the benefit of the connection that she had in that moment with Tamar and the audience and whatnot. I think there was some good that came out of that, but I also have to wonder, what was that also done because it was kind of it, the feeling would be that it would get under the rest of their skin. Tough questions, but I had to ask. Sorry. So sorry. Okay. So if you didn't see the episode, now you know. Okay. Let's talk about this real quick. Oh, we are in episode 3 of Bell Collective, and I'm gonna give you the rundown, right? Y'all know this is a show that has my heart. It really does because I have met these ladies. Um, and I have been to Jackson to visit them and do press with them and stuff like that. Um, I've interviewed quite a few of them and still would like to because I do want to help. I always like to do my part to promote these shows, especially when you know the especially cast with like diverse cast with mostly African Americans, just because I feel like we don't always get that amount of like love and press and stuff like that. And whatever I can do, my little small part, right? My little small part. Not that I'm the go-to or anything like that. I humbly just submit that I am just somebody who wants to do my part. But I also got to be honest, right? Right, Joy, the bells are belling. Okay. Um, I stated last week, and I'm gonna state it again. I love you, Tambra. I do, but I don't think this is the venue for you. I think if you wanted to be a friend, fine. You're giving friend energy. You be giving friend energy every season, just about. And it's given I'm too booked and busy for the show. It's to the point where now the cast members are telling us they're not even going to invite you because they know your man ain't gonna come. Your man ain't gonna come. You ain't got no time. I mean, what's the point? They could have invited Dr. Antoinette back, as I stated last week. She would have been a much more interesting choice because she would have been more available, I think, potentially, right? All right, there's that. Mandy takes center stage in this episode. While we have Marie and Latrice filming together, as much as I do enjoy the fact that they're not at each other's throats, I wonder how real it really is for the two of them, or if it's like we gotta just move on because we've been beefing for ages at this point. Because in the next episode, it looks as though, and I don't know if Marie's talking about Latrice, but it looks like Marie has gone back to calling Latrice a snake. And I get it to a certain degree, right? Marie is defending her friend, which is Letitia, because it comes out in this episode that Glenn has been texting Mandy. We have been waiting for this. Mandy has been on the fringes of the friend group for a very long time. She's taken center stage in this particular episode. She has a scene with Marie and Latrice at Taste where she does this one thing, and she does it 2 times. She's upset. She makes it a thing to call out Marie. Like, you and Letitia have done things to my friend, but I'm still trying to be in a good space with y'all. And I felt like Marie was like, girl, why are you even, we're supposed to all be acting like we cool right now. That's the energy it gave in that scene. I'm going to be real honest with you. And so again, the gist of this episode, outside of, obviously there is Selena, who is dealing with the loss of her son. Latrice, they talk about the loss of her brother, and they do have an event that is really dedicated towards, people, them being able to express those losses. Selena is able to express what she's going through with her fiance, which I think it's cool. We do get to see a soft side to Selena, because I felt like, with the whole situation with So Gucci, we saw a lot more of her in conflict. And now we get to see this sort of like vulnerable side to her, which I do find very interesting. Um, but the genesis of this episode is about getting to the pool party event that Latrice is having. Mandy is there, and they're going to play a messy game with all the couples invited, right? So the question is, have you ever been attracted to anybody in the group? And when it comes up, Carrie, the new girl, is like, the correct answer is no. Everybody should just say no. And at that point, Mandy lets it be known, well, Glenn basically has been in my DMs. Okay. When this happens, Letitia is really, really is a little too calm for me, but it is what it is. Maybe because she's been through this with Glenn before. I don't really know. I gotta continue to watch it play out. But she wants to talk to Mandy in private. Okay. So she takes Mandy outside. They go outside and they sort of kind of get into almost what has happened. But before they can really touch on the meat and potatoes of the text messages or the DMs or whatever they were, Mandy pulls the same thing she pulled with Marie. I have tried to be cool with you, but I still am not over all the things that you did to Latrice. And Letitia's like, girl, we did things to each other. We did things to each other. Okay. And they can't even get into the real conversation, because inside, someone who has seen the DMs between Glenn, the alleged DMs between Glenn and Mandy Girl, pops off that she has seen the text messages. Okay. They didn't see the text messages. They know, Glenn, you ain't no good. I didn't saw the text messages. Glenn get to popping off, and now Marie is running outside to go collect Letitia to bring her back inside to get Glenn together or whatever like that. And I'm assuming it's about to turn into chaos with Latrice in the middle. Here's the thing. And I'm going to say this. I love me some Latrice, but I think that Latrice, she's definitely caught in a difficult situation. But I think the difficult situation should have been that if Mandy Girl told you this, I can't recall if Mandy Girl said, don't say nothing to Letitia or not. But I think because they're being filmed, Latrice should have probably pulled Letitia to the side and told her. Because now it comes out in a group setting that is really kind of embarrassing to Letitia. And Letitia doesn't quite react in the way that I felt like she would have. But I mean, I don't know who knows how to react in that situation. Because you got to look at, well, what did the DMs actually say? Were they actually together when the DMs were sent? What type of relationship do Letitia and Glenn actually have? That, listen, maybe he could have had those conversations with Mandy Girl. I really don't know. Okay. But we'll see how this plays out next week. I am just glad that we don't have to see Marie running around with the German man anymore. Okay. No offense to the German man, but it just didn't seem to be like a real match to me. And I'm just glad we don't have to see it on the screen no more. Now, that was the episode. So the jury's out on how things will play out until next week. So we have to wait until next week because we kind of do end up on a chaotic cliffhanger. And we'll see how things go. We did see a little bit in the preview of, you know, Letitia reacting to it, Marie reacting to it with Letitia crying and, you know, in a scene with Glenn. So I don't know how that's going to play out. I feel like Letitia and Glenn are still together in real life. So I think we probably have our answer. So I don't know. I don't really know. Don't ask us how do you say bye in German? I don't know. I don't know. You don't know. So anyway, y'all, that's the news and the recaps for today. Thank you guys for tuning in and tapping in. I'm almost hoarse right now because I'm doing this without my mic, my normal setup, but we got it in. We supported the shows. We did the things. So listen, please keep it locked onto the channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Substack. I did send out a notification via Substack that we were going live at 12. So the Substack link is in the description of this video. Also, the link to our Vietnam trip is in the description of this video as well if you're watching it on YouTube. Okay. With that being said, thank you, Sarah, for the compliment. I really, really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next video.